Hello everyone. Today's topic is preservation of microbial cultures. In this topic, we'll be learning different techniques used for preservation of microbes such as bacteria, fungi, etc. It is very difficult to isolate microbial cultures, but to preserve them, we have to know the methods for preserving them for longer time. Here we'll be dealing with preservation techniques. So first, this microorganisms or bacteria, they vary greatly in the ability of their cultures to remain alive after the completion of growth. Okay, when we grow them in the media, they will be active for 24 hours, 18 to 24 hours, but after that, it will differ. The ability to survive in that media will differ for different cultures. So, there is every need to preserve them in a proper manner so that we can use them whenever required after a particular time period. Now, problem in maintaining them for various periods in a viable condition. So main aspect of this method is we have to store them in a viable condition or a living condition, and it is necessary to eliminate genetic instability, protection against contaminants, and retain their original characters. So when we are preserving them for longer time, or when we are storing the microbial cultures for longer time, there is every necessity to eliminate genetic instability. Means there should not be any mutations in the microorganisms, and there should be definitely protection from contaminants in the media. There can be some contaminants which may act upon the microorganisms. We should be very careful, and the original characters of the microorganisms must be retained. Mm, Otherwise there will be a problem. Next, most laboratories maintain a large collection of pure cultures, frequently referred to as stock culture collection. So many of the institutes have come up with the aim to preserve the microbial cultures so that they can be provided for research purpose or any other purpose for the society. Some species such as Neisseria are poorly viable, and their cultures usually die out within few days in routine conditions, must be subcultured regularly. So some bacteria, they can survive for longer periods, but some microbes such as Neisseria, they are poorly viable. Their cultures usually die out within few days in routine conditions. If you keep them in the normal media, they will be dying within 2 to 4 days or few days. They must be regularly subcultured. Subculturing means transferring of that cells into new medium or fresh medium regularly within a period of 2 to 4 days is compulsory for uh, preservation of Neisseria culture. Next, culture collections of microorganisms are valuable resources for and scientific research in microbial diversity and evolution, patient care management, epidemiological investigations, and educational purposes. So, why we there is a need for culture collections or storing of these microorganisms, because they are very important for scientific research in microbial diversity and evolution. If we can store the microorganisms, we can compare them with the newly upcoming microorganisms which help in microbial diversity, knowing the microbial diversity and how the evolution is being carried out in these microorganisms. And next is patient care management. When we are isolating a particular microorganism or causative agent from a patient, we have to store them so that we can cope up with the future infections which uh, or we can get some idea of how to develop the medicine or vaccine for upcoming infections. Next is epidemiological investigations and educational purposes. For students also, we can show them the morphology and growth patterns of different microorganisms from where they can learn about microorganisms. Next is preserved individual strains serve as permanent records of microorganisms' unique phenotypic profiles. and provide the material for further genotypic characterizations. So when we are preserving these microorganisms, they are serving as a permanent records. As botany people prepare herbarium, we are storing these microorganisms as permanent records, and they serve as unique phenotypic profiles, like they will show different phenotypes and provide the material for further genotypic characterization. We can check the genetic level also. Next, effective storage is defined by the ability to maintain an organism in a viable state free of contamination without changes in genotypic or phenotypic characters. So when we can say the microorganisms are stored effectively means when we can maintain their genotype and phenotype of the organisms, and when we can maintain them in a viable condition without any contamination. Next is microbial preservation have been evaluated extensively over the past 50 years, and often optimal methods for preservation depend on a microorganism's taxonomic classification. So when we are preserving any microorganism, the optimal methods are being evaluated over the last 50 years depending upon the microorganisms taxonomic classification. Now, how we can maintain this pure culture? First, let us know what is pure culture. Pure culture means it should be free from any contaminants and kept pure. When we can say a culture as a pure culture means when the microbes of a particular type is stored, and when they are pure from other contaminants, then they can be called as a pure culture. Frequent way of erroneous results and conclusions if faulty or contaminated cultures. So sometimes there can be even contamination. We have to check further. Next is stock cultures, organisms of interest maintained in laboratory as reference. As we can see books in a library, stock cultures are something that we are storing the microorganisms, labeling them and maintaining in a laboratory, that is called as a stock culture. Next is necessary to prevent contamination, retain viability and retain true to type. So definitely when we are preserving, contamination should not be there and they have to remain true. What we have isolated, and that should be even after 50 years or 100 years, the type of microorganism should not change even at a genetic level or a physical level or phenotypic level. Two methods of maintenance of cultures are there. One is agar slants and other one is agar stab. Now let us try to understand what are agar slants. Here in this picture you can see this is the slant, the tube which is having media prepared in a slanting position. The name slant is because the media is poured and solidified in a slanting position. Agar slants are a form of solid media generated from the addition of gelling agents such as agar to a broth culture. When we are adding agar to any liquid culture, it will become solid media, and this inoculated and incubated until reasonable growth, placed in a refrigerator after well sealing done to prevent drying. So after preparation of a slant, we have to add the culture, we have to inoculate the culture, we have to allow the culture to grow, and after growth it should be placed in refrigerator after sealing the slant and labeling the slant. So here in during preservation, the slants must be kept free from drying. The slant should not get dry. The media which is present in the slant should not get dried up. Next, hardy organisms, spore formers, GPCs, yeast, and fungi remain viable for weeks to months. Some organisms they can remain in living condition for weeks to months, such as spore formers, yeast, and fungi. And there is every requirement for the regular transfer of microorganisms from the slant to fresh media or fresh slants at regular intervals of at least 15 to 30 days. Next is agar stab. Here you can see this stab, here that in the tube there is a, this is called a stab where the microorganisms are growing inside the media. This is bacterial growth when it is used, it is the bacteria inoculated using a needle. The needle is pierced into the media. In this way, in this fashion, the microorganisms will be growing. So here, an inoculation technique used when inoculating semi-solid medium for the analysis of motility or oxygen usage, or when the inoculating certain types of solid medium. In stab culture, first important thing to remember is the semi-solid media is used here. Right, semi-solid media means agar concentration will be less than 2% or 1% agar is used here. So that the media will not be getting solidified fully, and this stab culture is used for analysis of motility. When we are inoculating the microorganism, we can check whether the microorganism is motile or not. If it is motile, it will go deep into the into the media, or we can see the motility of the media, and in that the path of motility we can see the growth of the microorganism. Or oxygen usage means how whether it is a aerobe or anaerobe, or facultative anaerobe, whatever the condition, oxygen usage of the microorganism we can use by using this step. Means if it is able to grow in the depth, into the depth of the media, means it is anaerobic. If it is only growing at the top of the media, we can say that is a aerobe. Next, inoculation is done with a straight needle having a culture. Now here we will be using loop, but here we are using needle for inoculation. And it is, this inoculation is deep all the way to the bottom. From the top of the medium, the needle will be going up to the bottom of the tube. Culture grows as thin zone along the inoculation line. So this is the line of inoculation where microorganisms will be growing. Culture grows, and acid produced as waste is diluted along the agar. So if microorganisms are producing any acid during this preservation technique, it will be diluted in the agar, and using this stab culture, the culture can be, the microbes can be preserved up to 2 weeks. Next, preservation methods are of two types: short-term preservation methods and long-term preservation methods. Short-term preservation methods include frequency of transfer, immersion in oil, freezing at minus 20 degrees centigrade. Next is drying, and the last one is storage in distilled water. And the last long-term preservation methods include ultra-low temperature freezing and freeze drying, that is lyophilization. So these are long-term preservation methods, and the above mentioned five methods are short-term preservation methods. So let us study one by one in a detail. Coming to the short-term preservation methods, first one is direct transfer to subculture, or simply it is called a subculture method. In this method, this is the simple method for maintaining short-term viability of microorganisms saved more than 1 week. Here in this method, the microorganisms are transferred from the old media to new media. Okay, in this method short term viability can be seen. Means the microorganisms will be viable for 1 week to not more not more than 2 weeks. Okay, increases the likelihood of mutation with undesirable changes. So what happens if we keep the cultures for longer time? There is every chance of mutation in this media, and undesirable changes can happen, like there will be some changes in the microorganisms. Now, maintenance medium, it supports the survival of the microorganism but minimize its metabolic processes and slow its rate of growth. In this, if we take maintenance media, it will support the survival of the microorganisms but minimize its metabolic processes. Means it will slow down the growth of the microorganisms, and even the metabolic processes are slowed down. Distilled water, stripped soy broth, nutrient broths with or without cryo preservatives. Examples for maintenance medium include distilled water, tryptic soy broth, nutrient broth, with or without cryopreservatives. Cryopreservatives, cryo means low temperature, preservatives which are added at low temperature or which can tolerate low temperature. Next is transfer organisms into screw top test tubes and to store them in an organized location away from light and significant temperature changes. Storage at low temperatures is done at 5 to 8 degrees centigrade. Here, transfer the microorganisms must be transferred into screw top test tubes. Means test tubes will be having a cover that is lid is present, and to store them in an organized location away from light and significant temperature changes. We have to store them away from light, and um, we have to store them at a place, preferably refrigerator, which where the temperature can be maintained at a particular level, or temperature can be maintained at a constant level. The temperature must be 5 to 8 degrees centigrade. No set protocol for the frequency of transfers in storage conditions, media used, and types of microorganisms vary among laboratories. So there is no particular method for this subculture. No, there can be any like storage conditions will vary, media will be varying according to the type of microorganisms which are preserved by subculturing. Next method is immersion in oil. This method is an alternative to capping tubes, adding a layer of mineral oil to the top of the specimen. We have studied about the slants. We have to take the slants and we have to inoculate the slants, and then we have to add mineral oil at the top of that slant. Many bacteria and fungi can be stored for periods of up to 2 to 3 years by this method, and transfers are not needed as frequently. When we have studied about the subculture or a slant culture, frequency of transfer is very um, it should be done around a short period of time, whereas in this method of immersion oil method, many bacteria and fungi can be stored for the period of 2 to 3 years also, and transfers are not needed as frequently. So up to 3 years we can store them without any problem. Next, microorganisms are still metabolically active in this environment, and mutations can still occur. So microorganisms are metabolically active means the metabolic activities which are occurring in the microorganisms, they are not stopping, they are very active. And mutations also, there is a chance of mutations to occur in this method of preservation. Next, mineral oil should be medicinal grade oil with specific gravity of 0.865 to 0.890 and heated to 170 degrees centigrade for 1 to 2 hours in an oven. That is, sterilization will be done. So whatever mineral oil we are taking in this preservation method, it should be of medicine grade oil. Means it should be used in a for medicinal purposes, and it the oil should have specific gravity of 0.865 to 0.890, and this oil should be heated to 170 degrees centigrade for 1 to 2 hours in an oven. Means when we are heating this mineral oil in an oven at 170 degrees centigrade for 2 hours, the sterilization of the oil will happen. Means in other words, if any contaminants are there in the oil, that will be killed by this heating process. Next, an inoculum of 5 to 10 colonies of microorganisms should be placed on an agar slant or in a tubed broth medium. So as I said, we can take the agar slant or a tube in which broth is there. So in both the conditions, inoculation must be done with 5 to 10 colonies, and then after that a layer of mineral oil at least 1 to 2 centimeters deep is added, and the agar must not be exposed to air, whether it is a slant or tube, broth tube, the mineral oil depth must be 1 centimeter to 2 centimeter, and the slant must not be exposed to air. If it is exposed to air, it will undergo drying, which may affect the microorganisms which are preserved in that slant. Next method is freezing at minus 20 degrees centigrade. Here, by the name itself, we can understand that the cultures are kept at lower temperature, very low temperature, that is minus 20. We can understand 0 degrees where water gets transformed to ice, that is around 0 degrees centigrade. But here we are going for further low temperature, that is minus 20 degrees centigrade. This refrigeration or freezing in ordinary freezers at minus 20 degrees centigrade may be used to preserve microorganisms for periods longer than those that can be accomplished by repeated transfers. When we are repeated, when compared to other techniques, here by freezing to minus 20 degrees centigrade, we can preserve the microorganism nature, and there is by this method they can be even preserved for longer periods. Next, viability may be maintained as long as 1 to 2 years for specific microorganisms, but overall damage caused by ice crystal formation and electrolyte fluctuations results in poor long-term survival. So this viability means the microorganisms can be maintained in living conditions for 1 to 2 years, and there can be damage caused by ice crystal formation and electrolyte fluctuations, which are um, disadvantages of this method. And modern self defrosting freezers with freeze thaw cycles must be avoided because cyclic temperature fluctuation will destroy the microorganisms. So nowadays there are freezers in which the temperatures will undergo fluctuations at a regular time intervals. So such freezers must be avoided for preservation of microorganisms because they will destroy the microorganism by freeze thaw cycles. Freeze thaw means first they will be maintained at for very low temperature, then they will come to normal temperature, again they will go back to low temperature. So such cycles must be avoided for preservation of microbes. Next method is drying. Here, this method is best for molds and some spore forming bacteria. Using drying method, microorganisms can be stored for longer periods. Here, soil should be autoclaved for several hours on 2 successive days. First, first thing what we have to understand is here we are taking soil, sterile soil. Here, 1 ml suspension of microorganism is inoculated into sterile glass tube, and the tube is left open to air dry before being closed with a sterile stopper, and sample is stored in a refrigerator. So, in drying method, first method is we have to take 1 ml suspension, like means we have to grow the microorganisms in the broth, or we have to make a suspension of the microorganisms, and of which we have to take 1 ml, and we have to add to the sterile glass tube or a test tube, and the tube is left open so that the culture gets dried, and we have to close the tube with a sterile stopper, and the sample can be stored in refrigerator. Instead, commercial silica gel can be used in small cotton plug tubes after being heated in an oven to 175 degrees centigrade for 1.5 to 2 hours with a moderately successful recovery of fungi. One more method is we can use silica gel. So this silica gel must be sterilized by heating in an oven at 175 degrees centigrade for 1.5 to 2 hours. So in this silica gel, we can add the inoculum. Next, gelatin discs can also be used. A thick suspension of bacteria is prepared and added to nutrient gelatin. Uh, so this gelatin also used for this preservation of microorganisms by preparing thick suspension of bacteria, and it must be added to the gelatin. Next, drops of the bacterial suspension in gelatin are placed on sterile wax paper or a plastic petri dish and then dried off over P2O5 under vacuum. When we are heating, when these drops of bacterial suspension are placed on a gelatin, they must be dried, placed on sterile. We have to add to the gelatin, and this gelatin must be placed on waxed paper or plastic petri dish, and it should be dried off over P2O5 using under vacuum. Next, alternatively, a suspension of 10 to the power of 8 microorganisms can be inoculated onto sterile filter paper strips or discs. The paper is dried over phosphorus pentoxide in a desiccator under vacuum in air or under a vacuum and is placed in sterile vials. These vials can be stored in the refrigerator for up to 4 years, and then single strips or discs can be removed as needed. So, alternative method for preservation by drying is we can add the microorganisms whose OD or count is 10 to the power of 8 cells per ml. This such culture, such broth or suspension can be taken and inoculated onto sterile filter paper strips. We have to take the filter paper discs or filter paper strips, and we have to dry them. After drying, we have to add this inoc- inoculum onto this paper strips. The paper is dried over phosphorus pentoxide in a desiccator under vacuum and is placed in sterile vials. These vials can be stored in the refrigerator for up to 4 years, and then single strips or discs can be removed as needed. So we can store these the cultures by this method up to 4 years without any problem. And after 4 years also, during this period, we can store them. We can remove single strips whenever required, and then this is used commonly for quality control of organisms, so that with this method we can use them for we can preserve the microbes for longer time. Next is L drying. This is described by Lapage et al. In this method, bacteria are placed in some small ampoules and are dried from the liquid state using a vacuum pump and a desiccant and a water bath to control the temperature. This is called L drying because this method is given by Lapage et al. And here we are placing the suspension of bacteria in small ampoules. Ampoules are nothing but small glass tubes are dried from the liquid state using a vacuum pump. Using we have to remove the vacuum from the ampoule, and we have to dry it using a desiccator. And here we also use water bath to control the temperature. Next, last method in small short life storage for small scale storage. Also, this method is storage in distilled water. Most organisms grow poorly in distilled water, but some survive for longer periods. When we are using distilled water, the microorganisms will not get enough nutrients for their growth. So only some of the varieties of microorganisms can be preserved using this method. And many fungi and Pseudomonas species survive for several years in this water at room temperature. All microorganisms cannot be stored using this method of distilled water. Only few microorganisms can survive. For example, many fungi and Pseudomonas species. Coming to the long-term preservation methods, first one is ultra low temperature freezing, and the second one is lyophilization. These methods are less labor intensive over time, require less laboratory space. Means in this method, we do not require much help from labor, and space required here is also very less. Example, cryovial versus broth or agar media. These vials will occupy very less space compared to agar plates and reduce the chances of mutation. This long-term preservation, they reduce the chances like mutations cannot happen in these preservation methods. Of course, mutations still occur. Example, MECA gene loss during long-term preservation at minus 80 degrees centigrade. In some cases, mutations may occur. Next is prolonged incubation requires drying of the culture prevented by hermetic sealing. When we want to store the culture for longer time, it requires drying of the culture. We have to dry the culture. Uh, we this drying culture should not be dried, or drying of culture can be prevented by hermetic sealing, and it should be stored in dark either at room temperature or 4 degrees centigrade, but not at 37 degrees centigrade. In these long term preservation methods, we have to store the cultures in a dark room, and we can also store them at a room temperature or a 4 degrees centigrade, but not at a 35 37 degrees centigrade, which is very much um, helpful for the growth of the contaminants. Next is suitable preservation media. The media which we are going to use for this preservation is also very important. It should be suitable for the type of microorganisms which is being preserved. So coming to the first method, ultra low temperature freezing. The name itself shows we are making the cultures to be preserved at low temperature. Ultra low temperature means very very low temperature. So here, what is that very very low temperature? It is around minus 70 degrees centigrade. We are going below 0 degrees centigrade. We are going to about minus 70 degrees centigrade or lower for prolonged periods using ultra low temperature electric freezers. There are separate freezers which can go up to these temperatures, and liquid nitrogen storage units. Here in this method, we can also use liquid nitrogen for storage of cultures. Next is presence of cryopreservatives such as glycerol may reduce the risk to microorganisms upon short exposure to higher temperatures. So this during this ultra low temperature freezing, when we are using this freezing technique, ultra low freezing, we have to use glycerol. This glycerol will help in maintaining the microorganisms, or it will reduce the risk of damage to the microorganisms. Next is storage vials. What kind of storage vials we can use? We can use plastic vials or glass vials which can withstand very low temperatures and maintain a seal for their contents. We should be able to seal these vials or containers. Next, cryoprotective agents. To protect the microorganisms from the damaging effects of low temperature or freezing process, we have to add some chemical agents such as glycerol. And during storage and during drying are added to the culture suspension. Some cryoprotective agents are added during this preservation method. So what are these cryoprotective agents? One is DMSO and the other one is other chemicals such as sucrose, lactose, etc. So coming to the first one, that is those that enter the cell and protect the intracellular environment, that is glycerol and dimethyl sulfoxide. Here there are two types of cryoprotective agents. One type is which can enter into the cells and which can protect the uh, intracellular or in the environment which is present inside the cell and maintain its status or the condition of the cell. The intracellular intraprotective agents are glycerol and DMSO, that is dimethyl sulfoxide, and the second type of cryoprotective agents are that can protect the external environment of the organisms. Examples are sucrose, lactose, glucose, mannitol, sorbitol, dextrin, polyvinyl pyrrolidone, polyglycol, and skim milk. These chemicals will help in protecting. They cannot enter into the cell, they will be present outside the cell, but they can help in preserving the nature of these microorganisms. Next is universal cryoprotectant is 5% DMSO volume by volume. That is dimethyl sulfoxide is taken 5% volume by volume. Next is glycerol 10% is the best preservative for bacteria, and glycerol autoclave one is used and DMSO is used during filtration. Skim milk 20% is also used for as a cryoprotective. So what happens during this freezing of microorganisms? Cultures are allowed to mature to the late growth or stationary phase before being harvested. So at what growth phase we have to opt for a freezing of cultures? We have to go for either late log phase or stationary phase. Next, broth specimens are centrifuged to create a pellet of microorganisms and resuspended in 2 to 5 ml of broth with the appropriate concentration of cryoprotective additive. So, how to store these cultures? If it is a broth culture, we have to go for centrifugation. After centrifugation, there will be a pellet. In the pellet, cells will be there. Okay, so that to that pellet we have to add media or broth, that is 2 to 5 ml, which is added with the proper cryoprotective agent. And next, if it is a agar, we have to go for scraping of that agar where colonies are there, that we can store in media added with cryoprotective agents. And volume of the liquids to be frozen is typically zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 ml. Whatever the volume which we are using for preservation by freezing method, it should be zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 ml, not more than that. Next, there are different culture collection centers such as ATCC, that is American Type Culture Collection Center. It recommends slow, controlled rate freezing at a rate of 1 degree centigrade per minute until the vials cool to a temperature of at least minus 30 degrees centigrade, followed by more rapid cooling until the final storage temperature is achieved. So ATCC suggests that we have to go for slow freezing, means for every 1 minute 1 degree can be lowered up, this process can be maintained up to 30 minus 30 degrees centigrade, up to the culture reaches minus 30 degrees centigrade, and after that the temperature must be rapidly cooled to minus 70 or minus 80 degrees centigrade. When organisms are stored in liquid nitrogen, however, it is still recommended that vials be placed initially in a minus 60 degrees freezer for 1 hour and then transferred into liquid nitrogen. So there is here we can also use liquid nitrogen for preservation of cultures. So during this process, The culture vials must be placed at a temperature of minus 60 degrees centigrade in the freezer for 1 hour, and then they must be transferred into liquid nitrogen whose temperature is minus 196 degrees centigrade. So during this freezing technique, small glass beads or plastic beads must be added so that culture suspension will coat the beads, and then individual beads can be removed from storage for reconstitution without thawing the entire sample. Normally, when we store the culture in vials, uh, during when we want to use the culture, we have definitely that culture must be removed and thawing must be done, and the entire culture must be used at once. But by using these beads, there is a possibility of taking single bead whenever the culture is required without disturbing other beads, and the culture will be safe for further uh, usage. Next, thawing. What is thawing? Thawing means the freezed culture must be get back to normal temperature. During thawing, there will be a damage to microorganisms as they are warmed from frozen state. Once they are maintained in frozen state for longer period and immediately they are brought back to normal room temperature, there will be damage occurring to this microorganisms, and critical temperatures appear to be between minus 40 and minus 5 degrees centigrade. It improves recovery rates. And store culture vials should be warmed rapidly in a 35 degrees centigrade water bath until all ice has disappeared. We have to store them at 35 degrees centigrade until all ice has disappeared. Once a vial is thawed, it should be open and an organism should be transferred into an appropriate growth medium immediately. So once we are removing the vial from the freezer, once we are thawing and making it to come to room temperature or normal temperature, we have to use the culture immediately, otherwise there will be a problem. Next, great care must be exercised during the thawing phase since rapid temperature changes and resulting air pressure changes inside vials can cause the vials to explode. So while thawing, there is every possibility of explosion because of rapid temperature changes and pressure changes. So that protective clothing and eyewear must be worn during this process. So when we are thawing the culture, we have to wear protective clothing and eyewear, etc. So with this, we'll wind up this session. Only lyophilization is left. So thank you for patience listening.